Hey guys, and welcome to the Igloo today. And today we're going to be covering a little bit about more black titanium and gears. A little bit more comprehensive than the video prior. Again, the video prior was literally covering for farming for Deathclaws. This is just one step further about the full comprehensiveness, about if you want to have maximum resource comprehension to everything. Not just using one thing, not just using that one distinction, because I wanted to cover that one thing in specific because not that many people know about it, as well as you're able to actually perform more efficiently if you do one straight method as well as leveling. So that's why I really covered for Deathclaws compared to like the other two methods, because they don't really get you XP, they just get you materials. So that's why I really wanted to focus on Deathclaws. But here's the other two methods. So one, you have the scrapyard, which is pretty much like literally right next to the vault, and you're able to farm for titanium as well as I think wood and scrap. So as soon as you have enough energy to power these generators, you're able to do that. But because they are scattered throughout those areas, as well as you're not able to provide basic security for it, especially because the site is pretty much right next to the black titanium. In my honest opinion, the black titanium should be the first one that you absolve in that area, and then you work your way out from there, because you're able to get more security based on the levels that you would do. Or you would have like little islands of like buildings, and then you put like level 3 locks on like each door that's circumnavigating each one of the actual resource mining facility, so you know that you are being attacked properly, and you're able to obtain these kind of resources because you're able to lock them out. Again, that's going into base building, but again, you're going to need to provide security to these actual designs that you're actually going to obtain. And the best way is to start from the most precious resource, which is either black titanium or scrap. And then you work out from there. And then you have to worry about always worrying about the security of your actual station so that you can block it off. You want to block it off with like a door and some barricades to the left or right. I don't know if you're able to climb on the shed yet. There's probably a way that you can climb on the shed, but you want to like enclose that space. It doesn't really benefit you if it's like leaning onto or right next to a fence, because you want somebody to destroy a wall or something in order to get inside. And the way that this spot isn't really laid out is that it doesn't really offer a lot of security when you claim one of these benches. So now we're going to get into the next subject, which is going to be your own camp setup mines. So this is a little different. So throughout the world, there are different ore deposits that you would see on the ground. Copper, iron, titanium. There's spots that even have like nuclear material that you can pick out. And it's like really beneficial when it comes to farming that kind of stuff, especially most likely during late game. But the depleted uranium, like you are in the open. You are literally in the open. And a few other YouTubers have covered this kind of stuff as well, but they didn't cover the comprehensiveness of just solely farming one material. So if you have your bargain all the way up and you want to become a trader and you want to have a shit ton of caps so that you can get a bunch of blueprints from one of these stores, and you just want to farm for blueprints, this is why, like, I would actually set up this kind of method instead of just making power armor. Again, getting the Deathclaw method that I mentioned in my video was because you want to be able to just fix a set of armor. We're not completely setting up a full-on infrastructure establishment like what you're going to be trying to do here. Again, some people are for farming hordes, and they like to do arc level farming, or Conan Exiles farming, or Rust farming, and they can slave away. As soon as they get onto a server, they're able to just turn everything on, get that system checked, and then just go on from there. Not everybody does that, so that's why I was just like, you want to have enough for titanium, you're able to do that, just enough to get like your armor set, so that you don't have to grind for hours upon hours. But then there's also the other group of people which will grind for hours and hours, and then they will sell mass amount of materials en masse so they can get their plans that they need, because farming themselves manually is a chore. But if you're able to have two different like establishments that you can claim yourself, that you have to defend in order to get those resources, and then you can do quests on the side, and then sometimes get annoyed that your camp is being attacked, your resource area is being attacked, your junkyard is being attacked, and you would see that in like the little corner and be like, hey, this is actually happening. So because there are different resources to farm, you can have different areas of camp to farm. And this, again, still promotes people like going from one spot to another to farm that resource, to another spot to farm another resource, and let your camp work for you so that you can have the most efficient time possible. Again, but this is not like the best thing. This will also have people that are going to be AFK farming as well. So you have to look at it both sides of the coin. One, you have people that are going to be actively farming all the time, and they're going to be hitting each spot back and forth. But once you're set up with your camp and you're set up with your cooperative base, and you actually want to do that, you literally don't need a farm. It'll farm for you. You set up all these camps, and then you can literally be like, oh, this establishment is being attacked. Bam, I destroyed the wave. Yay, success. And then you wait, and then you do some homework, and then you go back to it. Like, I know that it can be a very chore to just grind over and over and over again, but some people like that grind, and some people like to see that kind of retrospect, and especially because some people will take Fallout 76 as an open world game, and some people just like the atmosphere and they will farm their butts off, like on Ark, Conan Exiles, and Rust, and they will do that farm, and they will see that kind of retrospect, and they will get into it as well, and they will make sure so that every resource is theirs. So when you're going to be seeing these mass farming bases, especially, you're going to know that there's going to be a lot of good loot in them. And this is where a lot of people are going to be taking advantage of these hardcore farmers that want to just sell for caps and get plants. Because this is where most of your raiding supplies are going to be. And because where most of your raiding supplies are going to be is in these specific areas, and they have to turn over quickly, you're going to be able to see a lot of resources in one area at one particular time, especially if you take over a section and then you make out like a bandit and you take all the supplies. Like, it's going to be very effective for a lot of people that way, especially if you are a PvP raider, because these miners are going to be openable. These actual setups are going to be raidable, and they're not going to be established with your stash. So you're going to have to literally fight for resources. It's going to be a resource war on top of everything else. It's not going to be like Rust, where there's a full loot system. Anybody can loot everything else, even though I would prefer that there would be a stash. And then at the same time, there would be, if you fill up your stash, you have other storage. And that I will cover in another video. But that's just in my opinion for what would be a solution to a problem about overfillage, and then it would actually value people's bases that like you would see over in the distance, and people would be more invested to defend their base instead of just placing it down like it's nothing, like it's another resource cash grab. So, I mean, that's pretty much my idea of how this 3 farming system would work. You would have 1, farm for death claws, and that would give you black titanium, XP, and gears. And then you have defending your junkyard. The junkyard is one of the more known spots, especially because it's literally right next to the vault, and anybody can teleport to Vault 76 as a fast travel for pretty much for free. And it's a very reputable source when it comes to it, and it's a very fast travelable, safe kind of thing, especially when you're trying to proclaim a server. It's very easy to get to, so especially when it comes out to launch and there's going to be resource wars on servers, that's going to be one of the more highly contested spots. So if you don't have your camp set up at a titanium spot and you can also be doing like Deathclaw runs, and somebody has on your server claimed the junkyard, you still have 2 of 3 methods in order to do mass farming and production. Again, with my other video, that was just so that you can get XP, and so that you're able to get like a massive amount of gears so that you can just repair your armor. I wasn't like going to the mass farmer section just like for what other people were thinking about, because again, like I was in the mindset when I made that video for just that one particular person and that one particular field. This video pertains to another person in another particular field, the mass farmer. And there's going to be different people like that all the time, especially in Fallout 76. When you promote a game that is bridging the gap between an IP that has mainly been RP/solo players, and then you mix it with open world players that will have the idea to mass farm PvP, they will take advantage of other people's hard work, because that's how open world survival games are. They will take advantage. You will see ninjas going around, especially if there's an established camp that somebody claimed. And there's fusion cores, and they can sneak past it, and they can sneak past the turrets, or they can hack the turrets so they can shoot back at their enemies. And then they're going to be like, what the fuck is going on? It's still shooting me. And then they would have to take it out themselves. So again, resource war is going to be more prominent than anything else, especially in Fallout 76. Whether you're on console or you're on PC itself. I mean, not everybody's going to have their cup of tea. And I know people are going to be, hey, well, if I can't have it here on this server, maybe I can have it on another server. Well, I mean, the junkyard is pretty much like level noob level so that you can get everything set up and established. And not everybody's going to have that level of comfort. And this is why, like, all these issues could be popping up when it comes to later game metas. And people can just be dominating areas that are like level 50 plus. Especially if they know what they're doing. They set up base defense systems, which there will be in my channel as well, that there's going to be base defense systems, just like it was a homage back to Conan Exiles, where I made trap bases. I made bases that could be very, very hard to break into. And I would do the same here when it comes to Fallout 76, because people need to have a proper knowledge to build a base properly. And you have to be very wary about your resource management and a couple other things. Honeycombing is going to be a big thing, because when you link 2 foundations together, you can actually put walls on both sides. So I don't know the distance between that, because again, I haven't tested most of this as a multiplayer aspect, because when I had it in Fallout 4, it wasn't multiplayer, so I didn't really care about it. I just cared about like being purged upon against super mutants, or I was getting purged from like the Brotherhood of Steel, or like mercenaries would come into town. The settlement needs your help, Jimmy. Like that kind of thing. But now that it's a multiplayer game, you have to really sink in and think about what you want to resource war against, what you want to actually do. Do you want to have your camp set up and to be left alone? Do you want to deal with like having a base that could have a purge that could happen to your settlement that you have to take over so that you can collect resources like the scrapyard, so that you would have to defend yourself properly and defend the area properly instead of just randomly putting around turrets and thinking that it could work. I can literally walk inside a group camp and none of the turrets would shoot me, and I could claim the actual setup, because you have to actually engage with trying to destroy a base. And because dying doesn't matter, it's going to come back, destroy everything, and then try to get to the wall to get and take over the camp, and then spend your bottle caps. And then it's going to be a bottle caps war. What you have to do is literally go into that, put up a wall, and be like, this is mine, bitch, because I want to actually own everything possible for this area. And again, this is going to be for people that like this kind of like actual farming methods, as well as everything else, because these are areas that are on the map, and people know that these are claimed. People know that these are going to be highly contested areas. And then there's other people that are going to be like, I want that area now because this person didn't build yet, and I'm going to defend this area. It's people are always going to be like that because that's one of the areas where PvP will happen, stuff will happen. So your PvEers that are mainly going to be on the backdrop and not really have any experience because they came from a Fallout 4 game, a Fallout New Vegas game, Fallout 3 game, they're not going to be ready for it. And they're going to cry, and they're going to cry on the forums, and they're going to cry wherever they're wanting to cry. Be like, this is bullshit, this is broken, I can't properly defend my base. Well, maybe if you built better, you're able to actually defend your base. I mean, it comes down to defense versus resources. If you're farming resources that are very precious for people, you have to have the means to defend it. This is an open world game. You're going to have to deal with it. I'm sorry, but that's how the way it is for Fallout 76. If you guys like this kind of stuff, please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Have a good one.